So, hello everyone. I'm going to show you today a new tool of the trade. It is something that I just purchased on XP10 and it is a tool. It's a plugin for XP11 and it is called the Airport Visual System. You can turn this on and it will open up this window here, and what you get in this window is basically a display of the current airport, but not only that, but at the moment it's the current airport. We are situated at Echo Delta Delta Lima, which is Düsseldorf Airport, and you can see where we are in relation to all the parking and taxiways. We are actually located here near runway 05 right, and yeah, this thing is basically something. I have a feeling that that it was created sort of to replicate a system that is available, for example, on the new Airbuses and probably also on in similar way on the new Boeings, the 787s and so on. And it is basically a system that is in the aircraft and allows you to have kind of a moving map and airport information. Now, XP10 being XP10, this works for many airports, but it will not work sufficiently for all airports. Why? Very simple. Any airport that does not have a taxiway network, a taxi route network being set up, like in this case here, this is a payware airport, and from Aerosoft, and Aerosoft did actually make sure that we have proper taxiways and also so-called taxi routes. The taxiways are visual objects, and I'm pretty sure it uses this to depict also the ground layout of the airport. But the taxi routes is something where you define that there is a taxiway Golf 2, like here, which goes all the way to here or something, and then meets up with Lima 9 and with taxiway Mike. If that hasn't been put in by the designer of the airport, by the developer, designer, whatever you want to call it, then you will not be able to make use of it, because it needs this information from the scenery to display. This is at least my understanding. Now, there are a lot of default airports and old airports and freeway airports where such a taxi route network has not been put in. That still exists, and in the freeway the probability of this display not showing what you wanted to show is sort of, yeah, it is higher than in payware, although I have seen payware without taxi route network as well. Okay, so that's a little caveat. You can only use this map, as far as I understand, when the airport has all the information available to it, which is, by the way, not unusual, because all the other tools, there's a freeware, by the way, it's an old one, it's called the Airport Navigator, okay, and as you can see, there's this display, and it actually does a similar thing. It actually pulls out all the taxiways, and it pulls out also the positions, and I forgot what the keys are to zoom here on this one. Yeah, I might have to assign keys here. I just activated this recently because there was a new version that is XP11. They also, by the way, and that is something I haven't seen here, and I would think that this could be something that FlightFactor might want to put in the future. They actually show the parking positions as well. Okay, there is another payware tool I haven't activated here now, which is called Follow Me Car, or FM. which is from JAR or JAR Design, the ones that do the JAR Design Airbus. And it is, again, it's a similar tool. The advantage of the follow me car is that there is also, as the name says, a follow me car that you can actually follow. None of these tools you see here do this. And follow me car actually shows you the parking positions as well, and you can actually select as a goal to go to, as kind of as your destination on the airport. You can actually select a parking position, and it would attempt to generate a route automatically. Okay. Now, automatic route generation on taxi route generation is not what both of these tools, neither the freeware nor this new payware, can do, at least not at the moment. I understand that they might not be finished. They might actually implement more stuff. As you can guess, it's shortly before Christmas. Guess what? They have put it out, and it's working quite good. But when you read on the forums, there have been the odd issues. Okay, and they're fixing it. So it's probably a question of having it out before the Christmas. And therefore, I do expect that we will see some updates and some additions and changes. But the basic idea, as I'm going to show you now, is quite good, and that's also the reason why I actually paid money for it, because this is a payware. Now, taxi positions, something FlightFactor, if it's not too difficult for you, that would be actually a very handy addition here, because just the taxiways is not bad, but having the taxi positions with their numbers would be even better. Okay, so that would be sort of to me, this is actually a missing bit for this tool. Now, what do you see here? First of all, it took me a moment to understand what this is for, but basically what you can do is you can enter ICAO codes or airport identifications for an origin airport, a destination airport, and if you need, also an alternate. For example, if I would like to fly to WC Airport, Echo Delta Lima Victor, I already did this. No, I didn't do yet. I have to do it. I actually enter, I did it in a previous try. I enter Echo Delta Lima Victor here in the ICAO code for the destination, and that brings me up, and that's an interesting feature. It then brings me up the taxi route network for WC Airport, and you can also see that WC Airport has actually everything you need. And then I can switch between these two. Now, the destination, you cannot use the follow me, sort of the interactive mode that it follows the aircraft thing, because we are not at WC. Same as for the alternate. Now the alternate, let's see. So that's some small airport. You definitely. And here's actually, I think here we can see an example for. There is no taxi route network here. So we do have the design of the taxiways. So that's why we see these gray areas here, because they can convert basically the design taxiways, the visual ones, into this display. But what's missing is the taxi route, so we do not have this yellow line which actually tells us this is taxiway whatever. Okay. Now there is two possibilities here. Either this small airport doesn't have a taxiways named, but I would wonder, because normally if you have something like this, there should be actually taxi routes. So it's more likely that this is an example for an airport that has not yet got the taxi route information in the apt.dat file, which is the airport. That's the file where the definitions for each aircraft are stored in X-Plane, and it doesn't contain any of that information that you need. So you can still see the layout of the airport, because that it can draw from the scenery, but you will not be able to see the taxi routes. Okay, so as a very good example for don't expect to see the taxi routes with letters or numbers everywhere. It only comes where it has actually been put in by the scenery designer. Let's go back to the origin. Now, so this is this here. Another thing that I am a little bit confused is this custom. I have to read it again because there is a, you can switch the way you display. Why you can't do this in Düsseldorf, I'm not quite sure. So you can go on default, and then it looks different than on custom. And here's my guess again. Default and custom probably means default scenery and custom scenery. So that's as far as I kind of could figure it out. Default means it's what lies under the custom airport, because WC is also an Aerosoft, a very old Aerosoft scenery, and that would be probably what you would see if you have only the custom the default custom. My God, default and custom, the default airport. Okay, and this is what you see. That's the airport with all the customizations that come with payware or freeware scenery add-on. Now, Düsseldorf is a probably completely custom airport, and it seems that there is no default airport information available. That's why this is probably turned off, as far as I could understand that in the documentation. And I think what I said makes sense, so at least it does to me. Should I be wrong, then please let me know. Then we have the mode here. So at the moment we have the heading mode. That means the map orientates itself by the aircraft. We could also switch this to true north. So up here is then true north, and we're kind of facing west here at the moment. Or we could center the map on the airport, which means though that we might not be able to see the aircraft. So if I do this like this here, we would actually see the aircraft move instead of the map move with the aircraft. Okay. So it's up to you how you want to have this. I kind of use both heading and centered. The true north, yeah, I haven't really used so far. You can zoom. You can reset the position to the aircraft again. So here you can see and it's kind of a 0.0 position. Again, I'm not. Okay. So if you move the map, then you can see that there's a displacement to the center position or whatever. Yeah. Not sure what I need this for, but here you also see that it is Düsseldorf Airport. It's 145 feet airport elevation. Now, these are interesting numbers. They're good to have. I also activated some other options like VOR, so we can see that there's a VOR here. Windsock, so we can actually see what the wind would be like. In this case, it's 0 knots. Basically coming from the south. Is that it? Yeah, it looks like it's coming from the south. Or 0.5. No, actually that would be from the north. The other way, the other south. I could probably see this a bit better by yeah. So no, actually, if that's the windsock, like being the white part of the windsock where the wind would blow into, it would mean the wind comes from the south, I think, but I may be wrong. Okay, so that's that, airports. Now, there is also this here. It's the taxiways views, and it took me also a moment, like when I started this plugin and I switched around these pages, I kind of sat there and thought, okay, so how does this work? What do we need this for? Interestingly, the parking spots, they are actually in there. Okay, it's just that they don't show them in the other part, and so that's why it's not that it's not there, and it's not that it's difficult to do it. They do it, but I kind of would have liked to have this information here, you know. Maybe only from a certain zoom level on, that you can see the numbers, because it could get quite cluttered. I could see that. But in a way we do have the parking positions. It's just that you need to be in this, I call this the route or taxiway programming page, basically. Alright. And this is enable disable taxi route check mode. Why would it gets to previous taxi route node? Next route node. Yeah, okay, so there's some kind of debugging. Let me show you what you use this for. As far as I've grasped it now, you can define a starting point, and then you start clicking one after the other, one taxi kind of point after the other. You go here, you go here, and you go here. And you can now move and follow this route, and then you can accept it. So basically what happened then is you have to find a taxi route from a sort of starting point to a destination point. In this case it's runway 05 right on Lima 9. And it will show you this. So if you get taxi instructions to taxi via Golf 2 Lima 9 to holding point runway 05 right, something like that, you could go into the taxiways mode here. Actually, what happens if I want to delete this? Is it possible? No, I probably have to clear the route for that, because I haven't yet figured out how to delete. So clear the route is a bit yeah, you need to get used to it. It wasn't always yeah. So now what happens if I want to get rid of this? Undo. Okay, again. Undo. Oh, okay, it undoes the whole thing. Now it would have been a bit better if it would only undo. Here it does. Okay, strange. So that's basically you can kind of undo your changes. Like, let's accept the route. So this is up to the holding point, which is here. Okay, and it would show it now in the normal airport map, and you can follow the taxi route, which we're going to do in a moment. Now there's another option here which reminded me of some other freeware plugin called EFB. This is sort of the small EFB plugin, which is basically nothing else than a document viewer. What they do is they can read PDF files or graphic files like JPEG and PNG, and they would display this here. And what I did is I actually have this Flugplanung folder that's my own, and my old Navigraph charts, the one when we were still using the Lido charts and with the old desktop software, I was able to create PDFs from my maps and be able to use them. Unfortunately, Navigraph has done away with this capability completely, and therefore I still have the old PDFs from my old Lido maps, and to tell you the truth, I do prefer the Lido maps. I do not really like the new ones, but well, that's I suppose a matter of taste. What you can do here is, you see it's a PDF and it has converted it, and you can show the map. You can rotate it to the right in order to rotate it as to you need it. You can hide this here. You can actually size up the window if you want, okay, or you can maximize it, but it only maximizes like this. And yeah, so with this way you can easily look at any kind of PDF. By the way, it doesn't have to be a chart, it can also be some checklist or instruction. So this is actually quite good idea. It kind of basically saves me to have another plugin loaded, because one plugin does it all. And yeah, with the middle mouse, actually I have configured it to use the middle mouse for dragging. Okay, so you can drag your chart with the mouse wheel. You can zoom in and zoom out, and but you can do this here with the keys as well. You can rotate, and you can switch between pages, and whenever there's a new page that it hasn't seen yet, you will see this little command window popping up. It's a bit of a, but it's not bad, but it's kind of yeah, because it will translate the PDF page to an image, and somewhere, I guess on your hard drive, there's going to be these images loaded, at least temporarily. So we are here, and basically we're going here along G1, Lima 9, and we're going to stop here at runway 05 right. So nice one. If you have made changes to your folder, you can rescan, and then it will be able to pick up a new file that you just created. So another thing you can put in here is, for example, the sim briefing PDF. That's another possibility. So, and then there are options. The options you have is what mouse button to use to drag maps. I use the middle. I found it actually good to use the middle, although it was a default setting, and it took me a while to find it, because at the beginning I was using the left mouse button, and by the life of me I couldn't move anything. This is when that's not very practical. But then I discovered it here in the options, so it's the middle, and if you have kind of a 3-button mouse or a mouse with a scroll wheel, usually when you press on the scroll wheel, that is the middle mouse button. But should you not have this capability, guess on something like a Mac, for example. I'm not sure if this actually runs on Mac. I think it might only run on Windows for the moment. I have to read it again in the description. Yeah, then you can use the left mouse button. The graphics mode, yeah, there's this sort of reduced, different type. It doesn't have the yellow lines. Actually, also not bad, I suppose. Maybe I'll leave that for a moment. You can do some anti-aliasing. You can see this kind of when we switch here. You can see that the picture gets a bit fuzzier and the lines get less ruggedy. I'm not sure why we have to switch this. I leave it at 2 because my guess is it uses less resources. Possibly. I don't know. So, and to me it hasn't really made a really visible difference. Maybe on 4K screens you can see more of that. I don't know. Then you can decide what objects you want to see. Taxiway signs, if you turn them off, I think you turn off one of the main features of this tool. So I wouldn't turn it off. Miscellaneous lines, I have yet to find out what those are. Could be some airport lines or so. Traffic, yeah, I haven't got traffic. Oh, that's interesting. No, I'm not going to start traffic now, but it looks like we can see AI aircraft that taxi along here. Or maybe also VATSIM traffic or something like that. That would be nice. That would be really handy. Then NDBV or ILS, so any kind of radio navigation aid. For example, here's the ILS, and the nice thing about that is you can see the ILS frequency, which is handy. And if you want to know what the heading of the runway is, you click on the runway, and I'm pretty sure that I have seen information about the runway somewhere. Here it is, runway 05, 9,814 feet, displaced threshold, 984 feet surface concrete. Well, what they haven't given us is the direction. Now that would be a nice option, if you could see actually what your course should be set to or so. That might be another nice useful information, and I'm pretty sure it is available. So that could be an extension for the future. The other thing you can do is you can activate terrain and water. So if there are mountains, there seem to be some hills here in the vicinity. It is kind of a bit of a yeah, radar screen or something is still a little bit, is a bit, but it's an interesting feature. Now I haven't yet quite figured what min, medium and high is. High details possibly. Okay, but you can also turn it off completely if you don't want to use this, because for example we have a topographic display here in this Coronado. This is, by the way, the TBM 850 from Coronado, which I got on the Coronado sale just recently. And yeah, then the zoom mode, you can on the projection center, on map center, and on mouse position, and you can play with these options. I leave it on map center, kind of makes sense to me. You can try the other ones as well. Wind socks, hidden, positional, and directional. So that's these things. You can only see where the positions are if you hide them completely, or you actually let them show you what wind we have. And let me have a look. I'm going to the iOS, and I'm going to add a wind layer. Let's do this with about 10 knots. Okay, change the weather. Ah, look at that. So now we can see, yeah, that makes sense. And it also, if we move in closer, should we not be seeing the strength of the wind? I thought I've given it a... Did I not say 10 knots? Let me see. Wind... oh, altitude. That may be a little bit too high. So 111 degree, because that didn't really fit what I thought I had set. There's two possibilities. Either I'm too stupid to use this here, which could be. Let me see. Turbulence. Oh, the speed is down again. So let's say 14 knots. Turbulence we don't need. Change the weather. Aha. Okay, here we go. So now the way I have set up the wind is, it's supposed to come from here to here, and to tell you the truth, the windsock display is misleading, and I thought that it looked a bit strange, because the wind is actually coming from here, and normally a windsock has this white part where the wind kind of is caught in, and it actually, the wind then kind of pulls the direction of the windsock. So when I look at the windsock like this, I would actually think that the wind comes from here, but in fact it's actually coming from here. So it's the other way around. This part here points to the wind. So it's a bit, to me this looks misleading a little bit, but still it is a nice option to know where the wind comes from, if you interpret it correctly, and especially how strong it is, because that gives you an idea of the wind component. Now the danger is that I might misinterpret this during an approach, because I would still look at this like in a real windsock, and that would be actually 180 degrees wrong. At least as far as I understand windsocks. I may be wrong, but doesn't matter. By the way, you can save these options, and then here you got it. So here we are back now. This is our tool. Now I can show you something else. You can move this up like here. By the way, that's also something I'm going to show you now how you make it transparent, but be careful not to do it like me, and with some tricks I actually moved it further up, with the result that I couldn't get to this button anymore, so I wasn't able to get out of the transparency mode. So don't do that. Don't push it further up, because the menu will actually prevent you from switching this mode. Now this is a mode where nothing is taken, okay, so it's kind of shine through, and I can use this now to but the thing is I can't make any changes. So let me go to heading again, and let me position it where the aircraft is. And now if I go to transparency mode, we are able to actually see through the map, so there's not this large part of the screen covered by the map, and I can't make any changes to it though. So that means if you push it further up, and it is possible with a bit of trial and error, you will not be able to get to this switch. You will not get it out of transparency mode anymore. The only thing you can do then is you can go here and you can turn it on or off, okay, or switch pages, but you will not be able to get it out of here anymore. So just be aware of that. I had already had this already in this case. Okay, so why don't we do a little taxi here as the final. Oh yeah, this one wants to move very quickly. Oops. So the TBM, let's slow down a little bit, and let's put on the taxi lights. Oh my god, this is... Why is this going so fast? Okay, let's bring this here, and okay, so it still wants to. Okay. Oh my god, it's speeding up very quickly. I need to continuously brake to keep it from getting really fast, far too fast. But what you can see now is, apart from me having to slow down this bird, you can see now how we follow the map and how we can see where we are. So that is quite handy, because also it is inside the simulator. My god, this is awful. Why are you... Let's try this. Okay, that's better. I've taken back the props down to the lowest position. Now that might be a little bit not enough now. So, oh, but as soon as I take it out of this position, oh, this thing starts getting really quick. And the problem with X-Plane 11 that hasn't really gone away, maybe with 11.1, really is the problem of very sensitive brakes and very sensitive steering. Yeah. I might have to have a look at the new Fly with Lure. Maybe they have fixed the issues with detecting joysticks in the last update, because I wanted to write some scripts that dampen those axes a little bit, but I wasn't able to do so because I couldn't find half of my joysticks. Because now in X-Plane 11 you have more than 100 joystick positions, and the old Fly with Lure wasn't able to exceed the 100 joystick positions. It doesn't mean that you have 100 joysticks, but some joysticks got an ID bigger than 100, and in that case I wasn't able to use it or to program it or whatever. So maybe now they have actually extended Fly with Lure, because there was an update, and I might actually be able to get some corrections done here. Okay. Get out the old programmer in me and try and fix this, because it's a pain in the butt. Anyway, what you can see now is how we are getting to this position here. Okay, so this is not the holding position, there's another one. Yeah, that's much better. So if you take out the props right down to the minimum, it's actually okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to line up on the runway here. So let's put the taxi light off and the landing lights on. Now the thing is, in this mode you cannot make any changes, okay? It sometimes detects that the mouse is there, but you can't click. They have disabled the clicking. So you need to click here again, and then you can go and make changes, like for example the zoom. Now there's also the possibility, I think, to assign keys, but I can't assign keys to every flippin' plugin that enters the stage here because I'm running out of keys. I also use it for my hardware and stuff, so it has become difficult to assign keys because there's only so many keys, you know. Okay, so let's have this here. I think the flaps. What about the flaps? So flaps put in the takeoff position here. I haven't actually. I got a couple of airplanes from Coronado now that the sale was on. Amongst others, the Phenom 500, the jet, and this one here. Which are all, I think, XP11 compatible. So I'm going to probably do some videos with those. I also got the PC-12 for quite some time, the Pilatus. So there's a number of planes that I would like to explore and use here with Coronado. Some of them with the Garmin 1000, some with just the original, more like Steam gauges. Okay, let's go for a quick takeoff run. Wait, oh my god, this is really pulling hard. Holy, why is this pulling so hard? I'm almost fully rudder to the left here in order to keep it from jumping off the runway. That isn't realistic. I'm pretty sure the real airplane wouldn't do things like that. So that's just these XP11 Coronado thingies. I don't know. Okay, and you can see how we currently are more or less on the runway. Not quite. Well, we are kind of drifting off, but gears up. So that's it. Now what we don't have in this tool is kind of a map of the rest of the world, so it really reduces itself to the airports. That's what it's made for. Okay, if you activate the terrain mode, which we can do again, because I think I turned it off. Yes, I turned it off. You can now see sort of slightly elevated terrain here, and probably some hills, and you can also see that there are some lakes. That's the blue stuff, that's water. So if we look here, there is a lake here, which could be this thing here. It's hard to hard to know, but I would say probably, well, there's one. Well, this is orthophoto. So there should also be a lake here. Let's see if we can spot it. It's a very small one. Yeah, that's not there, I guess. And it's based on the original scenery from X-Plane, not on the orthophoto. The orthophoto might not 100% match here. But what we can see is, well, we can see one bigger lake a smaller lake, and a slight... actually, it's okay. That's these three here. I think they do look alright, and we should also be able to see the river. See here? That's the river. Yeah. Now, I don't know how useful this really is. To me, it's not really useful. I don't really need it, because when it comes to mapping, topographic stuff, for example, in this airplane, we would have the G1000. So, in theory, I wouldn't really need this. Yeah, you can move it down here. You can open it up big, and you can close it from here. So that's about it. That's the FlightFactor Airport Visual System AVS plugin. You can get it only at the moment on x-plane.org in the store. I haven't really seen it somewhere else yet. And yeah, it's coming from the FlightFactor guys, so I would think quality is okay. I'm pretty sure they do good stuff. I'm pretty sure also they're working on it, so we might be seeing some additional features. Maybe the thing with the taxi positions or so. Maybe they find a way of visualizing those as well. Yeah, so looking forward to that. Until next time.